Hey, what's up with it, y'all? Welcome to my podcast, Cold Narratives. I'm your host, Iceberg Green. About to let y'all hear some of these cold narratives. Check it out. So here we go. I told y'all, trick bag. I knew it was coming. So when I told y'all, when I seen Reverend or Bishop, whatever he is, Amos on the panel, I was there and I seen his face, and I'm telling y'all, you can see the corruption. You can see the trick bag in his face. He was just ready to wreck and ruin everything we had worked hard for. Excuse me, that they had worked for. But I say I work hard for it because I'm pushing this agenda. And the fact that this is happening again, they're trying to put this rhetoric, this bullshit in there to taint what we created, man. The language, everything, they're trying to change it as we speak. This guy created this task force and immediately put him on the committee to pretty much sabotage this shit. Okay, so this is KCRA, Channel 3 News, and this is them reporting on what Gavin Newsom just came out and clarified for everybody. Check this out.
Tonight, Governor Newsom is now speaking for the first time on recommendations by the state's reparations task force.
In the latest report, they estimate a $1.2 million per person compensation over a lifetime. Now, this isn't necessarily the size of the potential payment, only an assessment of damage. The task force would limit it to people who can directly trace their lineage to slavery or the descendants of a free black person living in the U.S. before 1900. Governor Newsom says, quote, dealing with that legacy is about much more than cash payments. Many of the recommendations put forward by the task force are critical action items we've already been hard at work addressing, end quote.
A trick bag. I knew it was coming. You know, one thing about this, I'm here in California, the Bay Area, and, you know, I'm very passionate about reparation. I'm passionate about black people getting what's due to them. And what I've learned is people will tell you how to react to some until they're actually put in that position and they have to react. So this is Fox News, and as usual, they find these people that want to speak against reparations, and here they come, y'all. This is just one. This gentleman, Jack Brewer, this guy's a super bootlick. I'm telling you, he probably, after he left, he probably licked somebody's boots, and they told him, thank you, man, thanks again. But this is his take on it. Check it out.
In the home, what do you think the reaction would be to this panel, from this panel, to what you're saying?
It's what I get all the time. It's the response of the Antichrist. They call me an Uncle Tom. They call me names. And for that, I don't care, because, you know, our kids need spirituality again. You know, a God-fearing person would not sit up there and demand for $1 million checks. They'd be able to see our kids in the streets mass murdering each other.
Wait, did he just say this, man? Let me rewind this. Hold on one second. Hold on.
They'd be able to see our kids in the streets mass murdering each other. Our kids aren't going to church anymore. I mean, our communities are ravished right now, and you got a bunch of people standing up asking for $1 million checks. It's absolutely insane to me. Let's fix our problems, our cultural issues that start with spirituality. You should be fighting to put the 10 Commandments back in school. See what I'm saying? They don't even be having a talking points here. It's like they just come up there, they tell them, as long as you speak against it, man, you know, just keep talking. And this dude slipped up, man. This is crazy, man. So now you got all these different groups and different states actually speaking up on California reparations. And the thing is, they're doing it now because it's about to hit the Senate. So now it's time for them to get ahead of the, you know, the agenda and try to push their narrative. They're trying to do it right now as we speak. So it's important for us. I'm going to just say it's important for me to pay attention to this and try to be strategic in how I deal with it. So get ready for it, y'all. Here come all the malarkey on how programs are supposed to help us. We've been dealing with programs for I don't know how long, man, since the beginning of the Civil War, back when we came here. We've been dealing with these programs that's supposed to help us. And it came with no reparations. It came with no economic value. I'm so sick of programs. We need individuality. We need foundational Black Americans that get they due. They check, man. They do not want to see us with that check. I don't know why they don't want to see Black people with a check or something that's going to better themselves, and especially California, the economy. We going to do that. And I can't believe that Black people of any sort don't want to see us get a check and better ourselves. They think that us getting a check is not going to better ourselves. That is ludicrous to me, man. And they keep pushing this agenda like, oh, you know what's going to happen if they get a check? People are going to feel divided.
Are you serious? They came here divided. Are you serious? So we need what's ours, man. That check, man. I'm starting to really wonder, man. Why they don't want us to get this check. So this is Philip Scott, the Philip Scott podcast, and he has a whole lot of interesting things to say about reparations that y'all need to hear. Check this out.
As we continue to speak loudly about our reparations claim that is owed as a debt to Black Americans, we know that the California Reparations Commission had just wrapped up their public meetings, and they're supposed to submit everything to the California legislator. Now, this is the thing about that. See, at one point in time, they thought that reparations, y'all talking about reparations, and y'all not getting it, whatever. We ain't paying attention to y'all. And then now reparations have become mainstream. Now, of course, we know them folks don't like reparations whatsoever, because anything that's positive for Black people, we know the folks don't like that. But we need to discuss something else. We need to discuss these other groups outside of them folks speaking against our reparations. Reparations has nothing to do with them. They didn't have a hand in anything that happened to us. They was nowhere in the midst at all. But yet, when we start talking about reparations, here they come. These other groups are so entitled that they think anything that we supposed to get, they supposed to get. Black folks are supposed to get anything for the harm and for the wrongs of Black people. Now, we're going to review 2 clips today. The first clip, I want you to hear what this guy says. He's from the Hispanic community. Listen to this.
Such as the Hispanic community or the Asian community, do they get, monetary value as well? Or is it more focused on just, one community?
So anytime we talk about Black Americans and reparations or what's happening today and how it connects to chattel slavery, everybody suddenly wants to talk about everything else. Let's talk about classism. And there is an intersection between classism and sexism, but we're not talking about that right now. Now you want to say, well, what about everybody else? This is what happens. This is why nothing has been done all this time, because we can't stay focused on one issue at a time. We're talking about something very specific that we want to address that has not been addressed, so we need to face that first. Once we do that, well, while that's happening, we can be addressing other things too. But we can't keep gaslighting and being like, well, people who are poor, they're dealing with issues too. People who are from the Asian community are dealing with issues too. No one said that they weren't. But we're trying to deal with one issue and get solutions for that first. Because it should have happened a long time ago and it still hasn't happened. So it's time to pay up.
And when I heard that, ladies and gentlemen, I was like, oh, I wish I was there. Because if he'd have told me, what about our community? What about the Hispanic community? I'm like, what about it? We're talking about reparations for Black Americans, those who are descendants of slaves. Sir, is your family descendants of slaves in this land? In this land. I'm not talking about what happened in Mexico. I'm not talking about what happened somewhere else. I'm talking about in this land. Are you a descendant of slaves in this land?
And they act as if the natives and the Japanese didn't ask for what they got. They asked for it. They said you stole our land. They said you did us bad when we came here. They actually asked for it and got it. I don't understand this narrative that they trying to push, like we just asking for $1 million. We're asking for our lineage to be compensated for slavery and what was done to us as far as redlining, as far as sundown towns, as far as all the things that they created, they embodied, that they push all these policies to undermine us. So this is Tariq Nasheed at Tariq Nasheed Radio. He was at the reparations rally in Oakland, and this is his take on it. I'm telling y'all, it's a whole bunch of trick bags going on, and he been spitting the truth about it. Check this out.
Man, shout out to Oakland. I did a broadcast last night on Twitter Space talking about all the ops up there. Oh, loaded with paid detractors and distractors, and it was loaded with ops. But everybody played past that, and they stayed on code and they stayed focused. And everybody was making sure that the language was correct in the reparations proposal. So a lot of stuff is getting pushed forward. We're looking at the finish line. We still got a little ways to go, but we're moving forward. All right. I'm telling y'all, the ops were heavy. Did y'all think that they were going to have a reparations task force without throwing some ops in there? This is real stuff here. They don't want, the powers that be do not want us to get no reparations.
I couldn't do this without adding someone I consider our roadmap, our navigator through this Black Power movement. And he's someone that's been actually speaking about Reverend Amos, Bishop Amos, on how he's always been against us getting this check, and now it's coming to light again. This is his take on it. Check it out.
Amos Brown, who is also Kamala Harris's pastor, in case you didn't know, is a liar. Nothing he says is true or even valid. Allow me to debunk his talking points again.
Let me correct something. The board has not agreed to my $5 million plan.
Yeah, it's a proposal. I get it. I know. It's a proposal, but why don't you like the proposal?
Because it has become a laughing stock around this nation.
Spirit. For those of you who may have missed it, the clown who was slamming his gums, that was Reverend Amos Brown. You'll recall that we talked about him last week. Well, now at least we know who the original Amos and Andy was. Amos Brown is a disgrace to humanity. Dr. King said we're coming to Washington to get our check. But this civil rights retread says black people don't need a check. And please don't try to cop out to say he wants cash reparations. No, he doesn't. We got the receipts. He got lit up last week when he was caught rejecting cash reparations, so don't try it. Why is it that he still doesn't have a concrete cash reparations figure in mind yet? Last 4 years, he ain't been thinking about it, apparently. Learn to recognize when someone is lying to you. If he really doesn't oppose cash reparations and his problem is just that he thinks the $5 million figure was picked out of the air, then why doesn't he tell us all what figure he would consider to be more well-reasoned? So all you morons out there repeating his phony lies that he's in favor of cash reparations or in favor of reparations at all, you are the weakest link.
You better understand that these movements and these meetings and these hearings, whatever we do to push the envelope forward, there's going to be some of those paid provocateurs. They're going to be there.
Okay, so that was a few of my FBA brothers, and they have a lot of interesting things to say about reparations, about being foundational Black Americans, and what it means, you know, to stay codified and to watch out for these narratives that the government trying to push again and change the language on our reparations and not cut the check. We've been through this before, y'all, and it's going to be a fight. And we got to continue to fight. They're going to try to undermine us, as we know. Well, let's just keep fighting. Foundational Black Americans, let's just keep fighting. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I also want to say God bless those going through the struggle. And make sure you watch out for them cold narratives that the government trying to push on us, y'all. And to all my Black people, I will be nothing without y'all. God bless you all.